Did you know that when you sing the Star Spangled Banner, you're actually singing an old drinking song? That's right, you musicians here might be shocked, but the Star Spangled Banner has had a long and controversial past. Considering I've sang the song multiple times for different events, I know of its unique story. This is the history of the Star Spangled Banner, and it started when it was written almost 200 years ago. In Leibson's 2014 novel, What So Proudly We Hailed, Francis Scott Key, A Life, it discusses how the Star Spangled Banner was written. It was written during the War of 1812 by Francis Scott Key. The War of 1812 was a war between America and Britain. So in 1814, Francis Scott Key joined the local militia. This is the story of what happened. Him and a couple of colleagues were going out onto this British ship called the Tonnant to rescue this doctor named Dr. Beans. And the doctor had helped many soldiers during the war. So they got out there, they did lots of negotiating, and then when they finally were able to free the doctor, the British kept the men on the ship because they were about to go attack Baltimore in the Battle of Fort McHenry. And Francis Scott Key and the other colleagues had seen too many of their plans. So they stayed on the ship, and then they waited and waited while this battle was going on. And then finally, after a day and a half of fighting, the giant American flag rose up over Fort McHenry while the sun was rising one morning. And it inspired Francis Scott Key to write. So he started writing his poem on his ship and on the way back to the mainland. And a day later, he finished it and called it The Defense of Fort McHenry. Eventually, he set it to the song Anacreon in Heaven, which is an old British drinking song. And the title was changed to the Star Spangled Banner. And it became very popular. But little did he know that it would become the center of America's news again, almost 100 years later. Ferris's 2014 novel, Star Spangled Banner, The Unlikely Story of America's National Anthem, covers how the Star Spangled Banner was adopted as our national anthem. So the year was 1929, and we were going through a difficult time because it was in between two world wars and the Great Depression was going on, and we really needed something patriotic to kind of cheer up our country. So that is when Maryland proposed to Congress that they officially adapt the Star Spangled Banner as the national anthem of our country. There are pros and cons to this. The pros is that it was very patriotic and it was like, yeah, America, and people were really familiar with it, and it was basically our unofficial anthem at the time. However, some people thought it was too warlike, and obviously it came from a drinking song, so people didn't like that. The composer was not American because he wrote the British drinking song, and it also was very offensive to Britain, considering it was written while we were at war with them. It was a very difficult song because you have to have a very wide range in order to hit all the notes, and the third verse is very controversial. However, despite all those problems, on March 3rd, 1931, Congress passed the bill, and the next day President Herbert Hoover signed it. Now, this seemed like a big success to them. However, many controversies throughout history came along with the Star Spangled Banner. First one I'd like to talk about is Jose Feliciano. In 1968, at a World Series game, he gave a rock rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, and people were not very happy about it. Zhang's 1993 article, Feliciano ignited a Star Spangled controversy, said that military vets at a Phoenix hospital threw shoes at the television set and switchboards lit up explosively in protest. Oops. In 1968, at the Olympics, there's the Black Power movement going on, and that is when John Carlos and Tommy Smith, two U.S. sprinters, stood up on the podium after they had won the races and put their fists into the air while the Star Spangled Banner was being played. John Carlos quoted this in Brown's 2017 article, "They didn't #take the knee, the Black Power protest salute that shook the world in 1968. This is from the Washington Post. I looked at my feet in my high socks and thought about all the black poverty I'd seen from Harlem to East Texas. I fingered my beads that were around my neck and pictured the thought of strange fruit that I had seen hanging from poplar trees in the South." Then, in 1990, Roseanne Barr, the famous comedian, gave a shrieking rendition of the Star Spangled Banner at a baseball game, and everybody hated her for it. At the end of that, she actually grabbed her crotch and spat at the ground because she thought it would be funny, and it was supposed to be like in mockery towards the baseball players, but that just added to the controversy. So that was not good. And then, of course, the most recent controversy in 2016, Colin Kaepernick decided to protest during the anthem by kneeling during the song. So this has been the story of the Star-Spangled Banner's long and controversial history. Now that musicians perform it, they can really realize the story behind it and how it came to be. There's always something to remember, whether it's the rich patriotism or the eventful controversy of this simple song, but it has been through a lot. In the end, I think it's really ironic how a song that's supposed to unite people has caused so much controversy.